Imagine standing in Westminster Abbey. Tourists walk past her tomb every single day. They glance at the stone effigy. They move on. They don and oppose. T know her name. They don and oppose. T know what she did. And they have absolutely no idea what she looked like. Because someone made sure of that. Her name was Queen Philippa. She ruled England while her husband was at war. She raised an army and won. She saved 6 men from execution by dropping to her knees. She built industries that would shape Britain for centuries. And there is a document, an official, legal, government document, that describes her as brown of skin all over. Not rumor. Not legend. Not a poet and oppose, s imagination. A bishop and oppose, s report. Filed with the king of the year is 1326. England is bleeding. King Edward II has just been overthrown by his own wife. His teenage son is about to inherit a fractured kingdom. And the court is scrambling to find this boy a queen. They look to Hainault, a powerful county straddling what is now Belgium and the Netherlands. The count there, William I, has a daughter, 14 years old, daughter of a French princess, granddaughter of the King of France. On paper, a perfect match. But before any agreement is signed, the English king does something very deliberate. He sends a bishop to look at her, not to meet her, not to speak with her father, to look at her. Bishop Walter de Stapleton of Exeter travels to Hainault with one job. Come back and tell me exactly what this girl looks like. He does. His report survives to this day. In the archives, word for word. And this is what he wrote. Her hair, between blue-black and brown. Her eyes, blackish-brown, and deep. Her nose, broad at the tip, somewhat flattened. Her nostrils, wide. Her lips, full, especially the lower lip. And then he wrote the sentence that has haunted historians for 7 centuries. She is brown of skin all over. And he added one more thing. Much like her father. Meaning her father, Count William I, one of the most powerful lords in Northern Europe, shared this same complexion. Now, I need you to understand what this document is. This is not a love letter. This is not a poem. This is not someone in Oppo's personal diary. This is a legal inspection report filed by a bishop to the King of England. Every word was chosen with precision. Every detail had a purpose. And this man, who had every reason to be diplomatic, to be flattering, to say whatever would please his king, wrote that this girl was brown of skin. All over. Like her father. He had no reason to lie. And nobody back then. In January 1328, 15-year-old Philippa married 16-year-old Edward III at York Minster. And she changed England. She came from a land famous for its textile craft. She saw what England was missing. She convinced Edward to bring Flemish weavers across the Channel and established a cloth-making colony in Norwich. English cloth became one of the kingdom and Oppo's greatest sources of wealth. She opened coal mines. She transformed a farming economy into something that would eventually power the Industrial Revolution. Here is a question I want you to sit with. Why Don and Oppo's? Do you know her name? You just heard what she did. She rebuilt England and Oppo's economy. She defeated an invading army. She saved 6 lives with nothing but love and courage. She was loved so deeply by her people that chroniclers called her the most gentle, most liberal, most courteous queen who ever lived. So why ISN and Oppo's? Her face on every wall. Because there is no face to put on the wall. Not one portrait of Philippa painted during her lifetime survives. Not one. For one of England and Oppo's greatest queens. Not one portrait. Every image we have was created after her death. And every single one shows a pale, light-featured, thoroughly European-looking woman. Gentle, delicate, nothing like the girl Bishop Stapleton described. Her tomb effigy at Westminster Abbey has been restored multiple times over the centuries. Each time, her features got softer, lighter, more familiar. The manuscript copies of Bishop Stapleton and Oppo's report, the ones made in later centuries, had words changed. Brown became something else. Dark disappeared. By the Victorian era, when the British Empire was I need to tell you something that will reframe everything you just heard. Every English monarch since 1328 descends directly from Queen Philippa. Every single one. Henry VIII, Elizabeth I, the entire Tudor dynasty, the Stuarts, the Hanoverians, Queen Victoria, King George V, King George VI, Queen Elizabeth II, King Charles III, Prince William, his children, all of them. Direct line. Back to the woman described as brown of skin all over. If Philippa carried Moorish ancestry, if she was black or mixed race, or had African blood anywhere in her lineage, then so does the British royal family. Not distantly, not maybe, directly. You understand now why this question makes certain people so deeply uncomfortable. This is not a footnote in a history book. This is the foundation of 700 years of mythology about pure European bloodlines, and it has a crack running straight through the middle of it. Queen Philippa is buried in Westminster Abbey. Her bones are there. Right now? Tonight. Modern DNA analysis can extract and read genetic material from medieval remains far older than hers. Scientists have done it dozens of times. The technology is not experimental. It is not controversial. It is routine. One test. A few months. And this question gets answered. So why hasn't it been done? The royal family and the Church of England have refused every request for DNA testing on royal remains. Their reason, respect for the sanctity of the dead. And I want to be fair. That is a real consideration. But think about this. If the DNA came back and confirmed that Philippa was purely European, no African ancestry, no Moorish blood, nothing unusual, that result would end this debate forever. It would vindicate everything they have claimed. It would silence every critic, every researcher, every voice that has ever asked this question. So why not run the test? 700 years of silence is its own kind of answer. Let me tell you what they don and put in textbooks. Medieval Europe was not all white. It never was. The Moorish Empire controlled Spain, Portugal, and parts of France for centuries. Moorish scholars were running universities while much of Europe couldn't and read. Moorish nobility married into European royal families. African merchants walked through the courts of kings. This was the real medieval world. So why don and we know that? Because at some point, someone decided it was inconvenient. Empires need justification. Colonialism needs a story. And the story they needed was this. Europe was always white. Always pure. Always separate. So they rebuilt history from the ground up. Portraits painted over. Records edited. Complexions changed. Centuries of diversity quietly deleted. What they handed us was not history. It was a cover story. And Philippa is where it starts to fall apart. Philippa died on August 15, 1369. She was 55 years old. She had been sick for years, her body swollen and in pain she never let show. King Edward III sat with her until the end. The warrior king who had conquered France wept like a child. He never truly recovered. The fire went out of him when she died. He commissioned her tomb. He made sure she would be honored. What he could not protect her from was time, and the people who came after, and the quiet, patient work of erasure. 700 years later, her bones lie in Westminster Abbey. Tourists walk past without knowing her name, and the test that could answer everything sits waiting. Refused. Year after year. But Bishop Stapleton and S report is still in the archives. The Black Prince and S name still echoes through history. And the question is still here. Was Queen Philippa black? We may never know with certainty. Not unless someone finally allows the truth to be tested. They spent 7 centuries building a version of Philippa they could live with. Lighter. Softer. Safer. If this story moved you, if you felt something just now, drop it in the comments. Tell me what hit hardest. And if you believe this history deserves to be told, subscribe to Ancestors and Glory. We are not done digging.